confirmed number of new coronavirus cases reported in Los Angeles County over the last 24 hours is 40,452, with 39 additional deaths. Here in Torrance, 375 additional cases were reported, with no new deaths. Welcome to COVID-19 Today. I'm Bella Shaw. It's Thursday, January 13th. President Joe Biden is sending military medical staff high-quality masks and millions of more COVID-19 tests across America as we continue dealing with this Omicron surge. Starting next week, President Biden says 1,000 military medical personnel will be dispatched to short-staffed hospitals throughout the U.S. The Biden administration will also double its procurement of rapid COVID-19 tests to be delivered to Americans for free. That means the federal government will purchase a total of 1 billion at-home testing kits. President Biden also says he will announce next week how Americans can receive the high-quality masks, acknowledging that many of them may not be able to afford such resources. He also reminded Americans with health insurance that they will be able to get up to 8 COVID-19 tests each month for free through their health plans. And for those who don't have insurance, he reminded them that the country has more than 20,000 testing sites where they can get tested for free. He urged Americans to Google COVID tests near me to find the closest location. Now, this comes as the Supreme Court stopped the president's effort to mandate employees at large businesses to get vaccinated or test regularly and wear a mask. The court, however, allowed the administration to proceed with a vaccine mandate for most healthcare workers in the U.S. Blood shortages forced a South Bay area hospital to close for hours. The L.A. County Department of Public Health had to shut down the trauma center at Harbor UCLA Medical Center for 2 hours on Monday. Public health officials say the area was closed to new patients until employees could find enough blood from other hospitals to operate again. Dr. Mary Ann Goshill, the medical director of the LA County EMS agency, says LA County has not had to close a trauma center to patients due to inadequate blood supplies in more than 30 years. The Red Cross issued its first national blood crisis earlier this week. It is in dire need of all blood types, especially types O positive and O negative, as well as platelet donations. The nonprofit is teaming up with the NFL and offering a chance to win tickets to the Super Bowl, hoping it will entice more people to donate. To find the nearest location, go to redcrossblood.org. Governor Gov Newsom visited LA County yesterday. He was at the one of 50 mobile COVID-19 testing sites across the state in Paramount and said there will soon be 30 more similar sites opening up as testing demands continue to rise. Governor Newsom highlighted his pandemic emergency response package, saying his focus is on keeping schools open and the economy moving. His $2.7 billion proposal includes a request for $1.4 billion in emergency funds to bolster testing capacity and accelerate vaccination and booster efforts. The governor said there are already close to 6,300 permanent sites operating throughout California, mainly in rural areas, and about 90% of Californians live within a 30-minute drive of a testing site. His plan is also aimed at supporting frontline workers and strengthening the healthcare system. He said more than 2,300 out-of-state workers are helping at California hospitals, and another 1,250 are on the way. And he reminded Californians that his recently signed executive order should allow more flexibility for school districts to bring on recently retired educators or give additional hours to substitute teachers to help address staff shortages. United Airlines says it is reducing its flight schedule after 3,000 employees tested positive for COVID-19. CEO Scott Kirby says the airline is reducing its near-term schedules to make sure there are enough resources and staffing to take care of their customers. United is not alone in cutting its services to deal with pandemic-related sick calls. JetBlue Airways recently reduced its schedule by about 1,280 flights, roughly 10% of its schedule, from January 6th through the 13th because of a growing number of its crew members were getting sick. And Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian says about 8,000 of its 75,000 employees tested positive for COVID-19 over the last 4 weeks. resulting in the company's loss of $408 million in the final quarter of 2021 and contributing to the industry-wide 20,000 U.S. flight cancellations between Christmas Eve and the first week of January. While thousands of United employees have the coronavirus, Kirby says none of the company's vaccinated employees are hospitalized. The hospitalization rate among United employees has plummeted since the company's vaccine mandate went into effect. Kirby says it is now 100 times lower than the general U.S. population. Dozens of high school students in Redondo Beach took part in a walkout yesterday, raising awareness of COVID-19 safety concerns on campus. The students gathered outside Redondo Union High School around 10:20 a.m. There have been 410 reported cases among students and 31 among staff at the school over the past 2 weeks. The school district noted the surge in cases last week and laid out new quarantine and exposure requirements. Some students voiced their concerns during a school board meeting on Tuesday, with one student saying she and her colleagues felt pressured to come to school when they did not feel safe. School board president Ray Muir-Flynn said at the end of the meeting that their schools are going to be the last to close and the first to open, adding that they are an essential vital service. She also said that in the event of a larger outbreak at a specific school or for the broader district, the LA County Department of Health would issue an order to shut down. About 30 people protested outside the district office before Tuesday's meeting. Another student, although vaccinated, is worried about the 2 adults in his house who could get very sick. He also noted that teachers were taking a big risk being in the classrooms. The walkout was timed for the start of a 20-minute silent study hall period for all students. For the first time, the U.S. Army is offering a $50,000 bonus to certain recruits. The service has been struggling to bring on more soldiers into certain critical jobs during the ongoing pandemic. The maximum enlistment bonus of $50,000 is for highly skilled recruits who join for 6 years. Major General Kevin Vereen, head of Army Recruiting Command, says shuttered schools and the competitive job market over the past year made it very challenging for recruiters. The Army hopes that the extra cash incentive and a few other changes will entice qualified candidates to sign up. Until now, the Army's maximum bonus was $40,000. Vereen says they're in a competitive market and how they incentivize is absolutely essential. Besides the cash bonus, he says the Army is doing more to address concerns such as constant relocations, leaving home for long periods of time, and not being family-friendly in other ways, especially during the pandemic. A new study from Canada is linking COVID-19 to worsening mobility in middle-aged and older adults. Researchers looked at more than 24,000 people in this category and found that the virus was associated with worsening ability to move around and difficulties in physical functioning. Authors from McMaster and other Canadian universities published the study on Wednesday in JAMA Network Open. Of the 24,114 participants, 121 had either a positive test result or a COVID-19 diagnosis from a healthcare practitioner with no confirmatory test. 7 participants were hospitalized, and 113 were considered to have mild to moderate disease. The authors found that those who had had a probable or confirmed case were twice as likely to report worsening ability to move around at home, engage in housework activity, and participate in physical activity. And that includes standing up after sitting down in a chair, walking up and down the stairs, and walking 2 to 3 blocks. The study also revealed a further decline in mobility if a person had other chronic conditions. They concluded that more research is needed to understand longer-term impacts. Another study offers a more positive finding related to the coronavirus. Researchers followed 52 individuals living with someone who had just caught the coronavirus. They say those who developed a memory bank of specific immune cells called T cells after recovering from the common cold were less likely to get infected with COVID-19. The small-scale study was published in Nature Communications. It stemmed from a team at the Imperial College London, wanting to better understand why some people catch COVID-19 after being exposed to the virus and why others do not. Medical experts say while vaccines still remain key, these findings could provide useful insight into how a body's defense system fights the virus. Cannabis compounds may have been found to help prevent the coronavirus from infecting healthy cells. The findings from a lab study were published by researchers from Oregon State University. According to the study, the compounds bound to the virus spike proteins and block the process in the pathogen's development, where it usually infects people. The researchers tested the compound's effects against 2 variants in a lab, and though no human subjects were involved in the study, researchers say the compounds can be taken orally and have a long history of safe use in humans. They also say the compounds have the potential to prevent as well as to treat infection by SARS-CoV-2. Hemp compounds have been used as a source of fiber and food for humans and animals. Its extracts are used in body lotions, cosmetics, dietary supplements, and other products. The pace of inflation in November was at its fastest since 1982. The U.S. Department of Labor says the Consumer Price Index, which measures the cost of a wide range of goods and services, shows inflation rose 6.8% from a year ago. Energy prices rose 33.3% since November 2020, including a 3.5% surge in November. Gasoline alone is up 58.1%. Food prices jumped 6.1% year over year, while used car and truck prices, a major contributor to the inflation burst, are up 31.4%. The Labor Department says the increases for food and energy were the fastest 12-month gains in at least 13 years. Shelter costs rose as well by 3.8%. It comprises about 1/3 of the Consumer Price Index. Economists say the inflation jump is directly tied to the pandemic. Strong consumer demand for goods and supply chain bottlenecks were major factors. Price increases have been stronger and more persistent than policymakers had anticipated. But some economists remain optimistic and say they think inflation is near its peak, especially with energy prices declining in recent weeks. Well, as we head into the weekend, be sure to tune in to Weekends in Torrance. New episodes air at 2 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. On Friday, take a virtual tour of the Blue Stem, a luxury boutique hotel offering a peaceful oasis during the pandemic. Then, Exer Urgent Care's Dr. Corey Spurlock answers the latest questions surrounding the Omicron variant. And visit Flower Duet, a small business operated by 2 sisters that has been going strong for 20-plus years. These stories and much more will be airing this weekend, starting at 2 p.m. You can find us on Spectrum Cable Channel 3, Verizon Fios Channel 31, streaming on our website, as well as on YouTube. Well, before we go at the end of each program, we like to share feel-good stories from our community. Pictures, images, and videos that remind us of how resilient our community is and how Torrance truly cares. We are hearing some positive feedback from last Christmas. The city adopted 206 angels, providing the less fortunate children with lots of gifts, including books, clothes, and toys. City officials say that's 30% of the total amount of angels adopted. The Salvation Army of Torrance shared a heartfelt thank you, saying the community's generosity lit up the faces of hundreds of families. The nonprofit says COVID-19 has made the last few years unpredictable for many, especially those who fall below the poverty line, are experiencing homelessness, or are working multiple jobs to make ends meet. The city's food collection in the West Annex overfilled as well, both during Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. We are grateful for the community's generosity to help those around them during this difficult time. Now, if you have a great story, an upcoming event, a photo or video you'd like to share, email us at covid19today@torranceca.gov. We'd love to hear from you. Well, that's our update for COVID-19 today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday as Leslie Robbins brings you the latest. Be safe, stay healthy, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.